Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm David Noble, and I've not done one of these for a while. So, comments from the couch, just my unscripted thoughts on a subject. Today, we're going to be talking about W Series. After its inaugural season in 2019, it then, because of COVID, went missing in 2020. And there was always the risk that, would it lose momentum? Would it come back at all? But rather than slipping behind and losing momentum, they've actually been very smart, and the people in charge have been talking to the right people during the year off, and they're now on the support bill for Formula One, so properly in the big time. So they've used their time away well. As it's come back, how does it look at the moment? Well, let's forget comparisons for the cars. The cars that they use are Tauta chassis, and they're using, which are the same as the ones used in the regional Formula 3 championships. So, Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, for example. But the engine is a previous generation to the ones used in FRACA, and the tyres are different. And the thing is, some of the drivers won't have been driving anything competitively since 2019, so there's a certain amount of rustiness going on as well. So comparing times between that and other series is pointless. It's just not do it. But what we got was a very action-packed, now a couple of weeks. Early signs in it are there could be a lot of different winners, a lot of different people at the front. There's some people from the previous series from 2019 who haven't really hit their stride yet. I mean, if you look at race 1, it was, Alice Powell, she was on top of it all weekend. A very solid second for Sarah Moore shows that, she's someone that you've got to be considering this year as well. And, it was an unfortunate and a difficult start for the people who had been, championship winners and race winners and at the top of the standings from 2019. So, Jamie Chadwick had a few issues and whatever, mechanics and things, which meant she'd had a difficult qualifying, and then there was an accident early on in the race that dropped her down to 16th, and she had to fight her way back from there. And Emma Kimalainen and Beitskavissa had a collision which basically ruined their first races, and so it was very much a case of, the people who we thought might be fighting at the front, a lot of them were removed in the first race. Also history in the making, because Sarah Moore became the first LGBTQ representative to stand on the podium in a Formula One weekend, which is very, it's a landmark moment. Get it right eventually. So this is, it's all W Series breaking a lot of new ground. But there's always question marks over the series itself. How valid is it? Is there a point to it? I'll be honest with you, when I first heard about it, I was a little bit unsure about it, because it sounded a little bit too close to an idea that Kamajorda had a few years before, and quite frankly, any idea that Kamajorda has, I'm instantly wary of. But I mean, I forgive them a lot anyway, because you got Alice Powell back in a racing car after she'd been out for like 5 seasons or something, because she had no budget. So I forgive them a lot for that to start with, being able to put her back on the map again. Absolute, brilliant. Given a lot of drivers a chance that, for whatever reason, hadn't been able to go racing. But also, the thing is, if you have 4 or 5 female drivers scattered around, struggling for budget, competing against 20 guys, it makes it very hard for them to stand out. Whereas while I don't like a specific female only series, because I think that it should be racing as equals and what have you. What W Series has done very well is get people talking about female racers, and it's a stage, it's a platform, it's what it's known as. Little girls can watch that and see 18 female racers battling hard for position, and they can find new heroes there, and it can encourage new generations to go racing, to get into cars, to realise that the sport is for them as well. And as I said, while I'm not 100% convinced by female only racing, I can understand that the profile it brings to it is significant, and that if this is what it takes to get another generation in and to build it up so the numbers aren't as skewed in terms of male drivers to female drivers as they are at the minute, which is something ridiculous, like 100 male drivers to each female driver who's a professional. It if it helps, then it's, I hesitate to even say necessary evil, because I do enjoy it. It's just, I like it, but I don't like that we have to have it. But yeah, so race 1, Alice Powell looking very good. A few surprises further down the field. Race 2, by contrast, it was suddenly like Alice was having trouble with the car. Something on it just wasn't working right, so she qualified low down, and suddenly we've got Jamie Chadwick back on form, pole, and Butskavissa and Emma Clement were up there again, and some new drivers as well coming through who had only started for this year, so there's hope for an encouragement for more female drivers coming through. It's not the same names, so, which is all good. So obviously Jamie went away, she won the second one at Cantor, the same way as Alice had done on the first one. Butskavissa again had issues, didn't get off the line, and had another issue during the race, and it's quite interesting knowing there's drivers like her who finished second in the first season and clearly does have an awful lot of pace and is one of the quickest women out there, who's not yet shown or been able to show what she can do. So that she's going to be coming into it soon, but it's like it's very difficult to predict who the top 8 are going to be. I mean, at the moment you've got Jamie Chadwick leading the championship after 2 rounds, Sarah Moore in second, which is fantastic for her. Alice Powell in third, and she's going to have stronger weekends than the last one. But there's also various changes to the season as well. As I said, they've not been sitting on their hands when they were out for the year. So you had things like, they've introduced teams, which is a bit strange, but basically it's like all the cars are run by the same people, but you've got specific sponsors running on certain cars. So as long as they stick to the thing where it's all the same car, it's the same people working on all the cars, so you don't end up with a team thing where one person running certain cars is going to be better off and better equipped than someone running a different set of cars. Because one of the great things about it was how even it was, and they used to swap cars like every race weekend or whatever else, so no one had an advantage in terms of equipment over the course of the season, and I like that. There sort of seems to be a kind of similar thing going on. Basically all the cars are still run, serviced and whatever else by W Series instead of High Tech as it was in the first year, but it is still all them doing all the cars. And while, as I said, they've got team names on them and team colours on them, that's not individual teams running them. It's all the same W Series running them. But what I found watching the first 2 races is that it meant that it wasn't a case of, not knowing necessarily what car a certain driver was going to be in that weekend, what colour they were going to be in. You know, if it was a red car, it was this person. If it was a green car, it was that person. You know, if it was Veloce, it was a good chance it might be Jamie Chadwick. So it made it easier to, you know, cheer for your favourite, or, you know who was who going through the field, which, you know, is helpful. And added up, the series getting more sponsors and more backing or whatever can only be good for it. So that was encouraging. But it'll be interesting to see how the season goes. As I said, so far there's like, the people who you think will be quick have been quick, but not consistently so. So it's still like anyone's game at the moment. And the new people that they've introduced this year, I mean, one of the things they've got is like almost an academy team, where a couple of the younger drivers are like in this W Series academy, and they're going to be in W Series for a couple of years as a chance to prove what they can do, which is really encouraging. You know, because there's always the problem, you know, what is W Series? Is it a feeder series? Is it what? And with the majority of the drivers in it being in their late 20s and whatever else, it's been difficult to argue it. But with this academy thing in place, you can now say, we have young talent we're going to bring up as well, which has to be a good thing. And some of them are showing really well as well. So at the moment it seems to be ticking all its boxes. It seems to be doing everything it's been setting out to do. It's like, regardless of how fast or whatever you think it is, what you think the point of it is, it's like, if you just enjoy racing for the sake of racing, enjoy watching it. You know, at the front end, you've got more experienced drivers who, you know, have decent pace. They've all been in championships. Several of them have won various championships. You know, they're not slow. Further back, as I said, there's people who haven't necessarily got as much experience or what have you, but, you know, they're in a car, they're getting track time, they get stronger. You know, that's got to be beneficial to racing in general, I think. But anyway, that's just my muddled thoughts on it. We'll see how the series goes as it goes through the year. Obviously, being on the Formula One Sport Bill is great. Getting to go to North America will be great for them as well. And lots of reasons to be optimistic about it. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing more of it. Anyway, thank you for listening to my ramble, and goodbye for now. Bye-bye.